Yes. Once again, it's Brother Virtue here. I've got a special interview. You know how I like to just pop up on you and drop some nice knowledge, alternative knowledge for the mind, stimulation knowledge. Things to just uplift us, man, because there's a lot of people just talking the same old thing. So I come with that thought-provoking, virtuous thought. Exactly that. So as I'm saying today, I've got my brother, TEHUT-9 or TEHUT-9. How are you going to say this, brother? Can you introduce yourself to the family and give us a little upload of your knowledge?
Peace and prosperity, family. Health, wisdom, and wealth before everything else. My name is TEHUT-9. What can I say, man? I just want to give thanks to the brother for inviting me to share with the family and to just have a nice build today. I'm in the United States in the Carolinas, and I'm happy to be connecting with the brothers and sisters on the other side of the Atlantic.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to have you on my show. I'm grateful that you even accepted and we set it up so quickly and all of that. So I'm very much appreciative. I'm going to just ask you a few questions. It's just basically general talk and we're just going to build from that. So my first question to you is about obviously yourself. What do you do and how do you go about your day-to-day life and all of these sort of things? Like what do you practice nationality-wise and religion-wise and all of these things?
Okay. I'm a mind. I'm a thought that thinks. And on the day-to-day, it's just as far as and I believe you're probably talking about on as far as like how I make a living. I have several businesses that I run as a creative. And what I mean by creative, I mean someone that creates, and you create with your mind. Always remember that everything starts in the mind. The thoughts come before the actions, and the actions are what help you to build cities and empires. But it all starts in the mind. So, I've been doing poetry and in terms of like writing and publishing and doing stuff like that for many years, for about I want to say 10 or 15 years. It's been a while. And I came to America from the Caribbean. I was born in Jamaica, so I came here pretty young, finished high school, went on to college. Always knew I had a creative side. Always knew I had like this passion to just like to do something creative. And I didn't really know what that was until like I went back home to Jamaica just after high school, and I saw my oldest brother right on stage performing a poem. And in a little I guess feeling of sibling like rivalry, I said, oh, what he's doing is nothing special. I could do that too. And it became a challenge. You know what I'm saying? It became a challenge where I said, okay, you could do it. So I started writing, man, and I wrote my first joint, and I dedicated it to his daughter who was still in the womb at the time. And I remember the poem is called The Truth. And, I quoted some Marcus Garvey in it about, a line he had where he said, up you mighty people, you can accomplish what you will. And I just remember how good I felt, just looking at the words, how I put them together. And it was very, very simple, very, very elementary. But, that was the starting for me. And that summer I came back to America. Then I was in New York, and I got a little book, and I started writing all my thoughts and all my feelings down in this book. And, it just became like this outlet. Writing became an outlet, and my creativity just came natural. You know what I'm saying? It grew on its own ambition and desire to be, the best that it can be. And that's kind of how I live my life. If I have a religion, that's it. You know what I mean? To basically, be obedient to your spirit, to your thoughts. That's the only thing you can trust. You know what I mean? You can't get caught up in the illusions of sometimes your feelings and everything. You got to trust your spirit. And people know what I'm talking about. It has nothing to do with religion. Sometimes you somewhere in your spirit is saying, it's time to go. you better go. You know what I'm saying? You know when you're because that's what you are, your spirit, your thought, your energy. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, brother, I do a lot of different things. You know, I'm a filmmaker as well. I've written about 3 films and directed them. My latest film is a film called What Goes Around. I've written 2 books. I've several albums. I've traveled the whole entire United States. You know, outside the United States, I've been Canada, Japan, multiple stops in Europe, including England, Scotland, France, Switzerland, Italy, you know, Germany, you know, many different places. So I've really like, you know, trekked around just sharing inspiration with people, and you know, that's my hope that whatever I do, it can become an inspiration to someone.
Can you tell me about your books first? Actually, that was powerful already. Can you name some of your books and that just plug everything that you can plug? Plug it, brother. Plug it.
All right. Well, I have 2 books. My first book was called "The Fire in Me." I don't know if I have any in my office here. I could show you real quick, but this is my second book. It's called Mental Hieroglyphics. Mental Hieroglyphics, and this is a book of some of my poetry. Very powerful stuff. You know what I'm saying? Definitely going to inspire someone, and I'll probably read 1 or 2 pieces out of here just to give people a sample. I have several movies that I've made. The first movie I did was a comedy called Foreign, and I did that with a friend of mine in New York. And you know, it was a pretty low budgeted project, but you know, with the story that we were telling and just, you know, our creativity in telling it basically did what it was supposed to do. You know what I mean? Within the first 2 weeks of that movie being out, with no experience at all at making movies or writing or doing any of this stuff, we galvanized the community into a frenzy, and the movie got bootlegged everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And that gave us a foundation to build on. And so we, you know, we wrote another film called Bashment: The Fork in the Road, and I wrote and was a principal writer on that as well, and directed that. And that just went, you know, that did its own thing. That was its own beast, you know. Unfortunately, you know, the culture that exists with the bootlegging and everything, you know what I mean, it was more promotion than it was profit. The latest film is a film called What Goes Around, and I think I do have a copy of that one I could show you. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no problem, brother. That's what I'm saying, family. I always try to drop you the little jewels. Go find it. Go get these books too. I want to ask him about that mental. That book there sounds like it's gonna be delicious. Mental hieroglyphics. That's gonna be powerful.
This is Bashment: The Fork in the Road. This was my my second film, and I wrote and directed. And this is What Goes Around. This just came out. This is, you know, all of them are available on my website and actually on my Facebook page, which I'll give you the information for. But yeah, you know, you can get these contents there. And I have, if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you know, you have access to pretty much a vault of my thoughts. You know, I really just unload everything there for people. And there's a lot of special items in my notes. So, you know, make sure you check out my notes section. There's a lot of heavy material in those notes. And yeah, so that's it, brother.
As I'm saying, I'm going to go into another sort of dialogue then, where I'm going to ask you more personal questions. How important is the herb, or do you smoke weed or those things?
I can't say how important it is or isn't. I think it's something, you know, it might be important to someone and not be that important to others. I do smoke. I don't, you know, I can't say it's something that I do all the time. I have friends where, you know, they go on 2, 3 a day, you know, sometimes more than that. You know, I might hit it once in a while. You know what I mean? I hit it once in a while, but it's not something that I do, you know, on a consistent day-to-day basis. And I can't say, you know, what makes it important. I mean, you know, it's not that important to me where I feel like I can't do without it. You know what I'm saying? Other people, it may be that important where they feel like they can't do without it. So you know, it's just one of my my pleasures that I will, you know, I choose and will to do.
Yeah, that's important for real. That's a very important thing. You have to learn how to control self, so you have to not let it control you. So I understand that. You have to accept that it's a willing pleasure that you're gonna indulge in and not just abuse it. So I understand that. That's beautiful. What I would like to talk to you about is, you know how, like, I don't know if you would consider yourself a Rasta man or something, but I see you as like a Rasta elder, like my dad's a Rasta, and I see Rasta men, they talk with a different type of language, like the I, and like they break down things so beautifully, where those are the reasons why when I would talk to Christians and all of these other people of faiths, they maybe would not understand where I'm coming from. Like when people would tell me we are all gods, I already knew that from when a Rasta man told me the I, you know, like that. So can you explain to me about the Rasta man culture or the language, the lingo, and how important that is?
You know, sometimes with these labels, we have to be very, very careful because, like, you know, they ultimately are identifying who we are, but they're also causing those of us who can't understand that to feel, you know, that we're one is better than the other. You know what I'm saying? It causes division. So I don't really like to because, you know, if I say I'm a Rasta will say, well, you know, what makes you a Rasta, right? And then, you know, if a Rasta is just about your hair and whether you trim it or you eat certain things or you don't eat certain things, like we have to become like very clear about, you know, what makes one whatever. So I don't really like jump around into the labels and the categories. Like I tell you, I'm a mind. You know what I mean? I'm a thought that can think. So the, you know, as far as the question goes, you know, you can break uh you know, the cultures down that exists. There are many different cultures and many different schools of thoughts, and you know, it's good that we can identify different ones by, you know, like you're talking about the way they speak, the way they say certain things, the I, and you know how the words are played around, and I like stuff like that because I'm into words. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of saying like enjoy yourself, they'll say full joy yourself. You know, and we understand the I and
Yeah.
yes. So I look at the word Rasta, and the first thing I see in it as a person who plays with words and loves to rearrange them and arrange them is I see Ra and I see star. You understand? Ra star. We understand that Ras,
Like a young star. We're a young star. That's what we are saying in the hood.
well, Ra is the sun,
Mm-hmm.
and the sun is a star.
Mm.
So when you say Ra star, you're basically identifying Ra as a star. If you're a Ra star, you are a sun. You're enlightened.
I'm the son of the sun.
Yeah, you are a sun. You're enlightened because that's what the sun represents. It represents light. It represents life. And so, but you know, that's me playing around with it. That doesn't mean that's what Rastas believe they are. I don't want to, you know, create any confusion there. I don't. I mean, what was the rest of the question you was asking as far as the culture?
Yeah, just the linguistic side. I just love the way how they word play things, and they, like, as I said, with mighty, like, and fullness, and they wouldn't say like birthday, they will say like earth strong, and like just little things that they will just put in that just makes man like, yo, it just makes you think anyway. You know, like,
You know, it's deep about it too, brother. It's like, is that when you look at words, you know, words are a combination of sounds, right? And these sounds basically, you know, they're just vibration of thoughts, they're energy. So you put this energy together and boom, you create a word, and the energy, when it hits you, when you get it into your ears and it travels to your brain and causes the vibration it's supposed to cause, either makes you sometimes smile, it makes you sad. You know, words can do a lot of things. Words can tear you down or build you up. Words can cause you to cry. Words can cause you to feel like you can, you know, like, you know, when R. Kelly says, I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. And that makes people feel like, you know, they really can do whatever it is they want to do. So the words are very, very powerful. So when one is conscious of the energy that's contained in these words, and it's funny because, you know, if you look at the certain things that have to do with words, when you arrange them together, right? One of the things that's important is that, you know, a word should not be misspelt. So there's a whole thing about spelling, and we know what spells are. You understand what I'm saying? Spells can only be cast with words. You understand? Because, you know, I think, and I'm not really a big Bible quoter or nothing like that, but there, you know, every now and again you can find, you know, cogent truths, you know, even where many lies are buried. So I think there's a part there where it says words are spirit. You understand what I'm saying? Words are spirit. And that's exactly what they are. So when you could channel the spirit and reorder the vibration, instead of, you know, unknowingly, you know, casting a spell, a negative spell out, you're putting forth something else, because now it makes you think, like you say. So if that makes you think, what was the other thing doing? It was making you not think. It was putting you to sleep. So, and as a thought, what you want to do is think. You want to always be thinking, you know, you always be thinking.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. I heard you go into the aspect of rastas with their hair, but how important is the hair for black?
The hair is very, very important. I mean, like, you know, there's many things, you know, I often hear people sometimes who are deep thinkers in their own right, and they say things like, you know, we are not our bodies, right? And I used to think about it a lot, and what I came to was that we are our bodies. You understand what I'm saying? Everything about us is us. Everything about us is us, because it's all energy. Your body is nothing more. The same energy that you say you are, that's what your body is. The same matter that you say you are, that's what your body is. You understand what I'm saying? You can't take a cell outside of itself and then say only the protons and the neutrons is good. That's why that identifies it. You are your body. You have dark skin for a reason. You have hair that curls the way it does for a reason. The trees are green for a reason. You understand what I'm saying? Everything is there for a reason, because it is a part of a complete package. So, you know, what you eat affects you. What you think affects you, because it's all you. You see what I'm saying? It's all your energy. Your energy can be bogged down. You can have the energy of a lion, but you're trapped in the body of an elephant. You know, you can't leap. You can't bounce around like you want to, because, you know, you've packed on all. You think you are not your body, and so you just eat what you want to eat and do what you want to do. And so even though you have this ferocious spirit, this ferocious energy, it can't do anything, because you've destroyed the thing that's supposed to help that spirit unleash itself.
Okay, I understand how you broke it down. I like to say that sort of quote though, we are not our body, because I need people to like sort of step back and understand we're hurting each other because of the way how we might look and how others see us and all of these things. It makes us scared to go. I know for me personally, when I was growing up, I might be scared to go around certain other areas just because of the way how I look, dress, and all of these things. So that's why I probably promote we are not our body, so we could understand it in a deeper level, that we came here for an experience.
We have to first understand where we are. If we don't understand it here in this physical form, There's no way you're going to understand it in a spiritual form. So we have to understand it completely. Just because you are your body doesn't mean that you should hurt someone else. You are, everything is you. You are not just your body, you are my body. You understand what I'm saying? You are not just your body, you are her body. You understand what I'm saying? So when you understand it on that level, there's no need. If you hurt me, you're hurting yourself. That's the level you got to understand it on, because like sometimes we jump to the spiritual, but we don't know where to go when we get there, because we don't have no foundation. We don't know where we are, but we know where we are. So we have to understand that a thought, right? A thought is you. You're a thought that can think. So when you want to see how thoughts look, and just look around, do everything where this is the spirit, this is the thought, this is what it looks like. You want to see how an idea is formed, and how it gets out of control. Just look at human beings. They are the thoughts. That's what happens. This is the spirit world. This is the world where we say, time exists, and we look at time and say, okay, a man of 20, right, and a dog of 7 is pretty much the same amount, or 3 years old is the same age. You understand? Because you say the dog ages 7 times faster than the man. That's multiple dimensions you're living in one time. That's showing you that time doesn't even exist. It doesn't. The way you conceive of time is showing you right in front of you. How long does the insect live for? How long does a bacteria live for? You're talking about dimensions. People want to go to the 5th and the 6th and all these dimensions, and you're already in these dimensions already.
Yes, I always try. I try to challenge that sort of thought too. But I'm not linguistic and all of these things. That's why I need brothers like you to come on and express what I'm exactly saying. Because I just like give it to them raw. I'm like, that's it. There is none of that shit, bruv. This is it. Everything in existence wants to be here. You have to understand that. You have to fully understand that. Like fully get that into your brains.
Yeah.
Right, but as I said, I'm not linguistic. I'm not polished enough. Like, I need brothers like you. So you broke it down again. If you look through my channel too, there's so many videos like this where it's just challenging people to understand things in a different perspective than the norm. So I love it, brother. Continue as I'm saying, or do you want me to like sort of ask you something else?
No, I mean, like, we're building, so I don't want to just dominate the whole time we have by just ranting. So
no. A sister even told me there's no rants. Everything you're saying, that's a rant's truth. We call it rants these days, man. It's some truth that you're dropping bare jewels. That's going over people's heads and.
Well, hopefully it's going in their heads, not over their heads. But
that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it stick in the heads, definitely. But I know the way how the low vibrational thinking, I hope everyone does come to this. Because as we were saying before we came on air, you were saying how there's a shift. So let's talk about that sort of. How do you feel about this shift?
Well, the shift that's taking place it always takes place. It's a cycle. We're in a cycle, and what's going on, is that we as a civilization is very young. We're very young as a civilization. We are the parents of the whole planet, being ruled by our children, our great grandchildren. You understand? Old people being controlled by babies. And it's shameful, because it's taking too much for us to wake up. But it's because this is the cycle. This is the cycle we go through. This is the cycle, like from winter to spring to summer and to fall. You understand what I'm saying? Everything is moving. Everything is vibrating. Nothing is staying in one spot. Everything is changing constantly. You are changing constantly, and that's why I don't want to vector off into any weird tangents. That's why I don't really even think the time travel is even possible. How can you travel back to yourself? You can't travel back to yourself, because yourself is never the same. You can't go back to you two seconds ago, the way you are right now, because the way you are right now is not the way you were 2 seconds ago. And 2 seconds could be 2 lifetimes. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, the shift that's taking place is a part of a cycle. It's you know, just like how the earth goes through all these different cycles at different times. Now you're having a lot of earthquakes. You have hurricanes. You have all these weird weather patterns that they're calling them, but they're not necessarily weird. It's only weird to us because we are so young. We haven't been here yet. This is our first time around. Even though in our blood, a lot of us, like, you know, a lot of us that because we've always been here, and I'm gonna get into that a little bit. You know what I mean? We've always been here. So even though I'm saying, like, you know, even this is the first time for us, like you as this composite, this is the first time you as this composite has experienced what you've already experienced a million times already. But as this composite, this collection of a universe that you represent, this world that you represent, and I was breaking that down to a brother yesterday. And what I mean by a universe is you take yourself, right? And you have a mother and a father. So that's 2 people. So you are now 2 people because that's what you came from. And your mother and your father had a mother and a father. So now that's 4 people. So now that's 4 people that you come from. And those 4 people had mothers and fathers. So now that's 16 people. You see what I'm saying? You go higher, you go up to 64. By the time you go back far enough, you have everybody on this planet inside of you alone. And so you are a world in one. And so you've experienced pretty much everything, you know what I mean? It's really, really powerful. So the cycle that the earth is going through, or that we're going through, is just that we're re-entering a part of the universe that we haven't been in a long time. And so as we come back into this part of the universe, you know, we're gonna go through the things that we're supposed to go through here. People are beginning to unlock, because just like the sun shifts its pole, like, you know, after build up, you know, the sun, we are solar beings. Like no matter what, and you know, we call ourselves human beings and all this stuff. This is nonsense. We're not. What is a human being? That's a thought. That's something that you just think. You're a solar being. You understand what I'm saying? We are solar beings, not human beings. Solar beings.
Sorry to cut you. I just cut all of the. I just call myself a being. Try to find that. If you
there you go.
That, then you can
and a being. The function of a being is to keep being. You know, that's what a being is. You have to keep on being, and that's why you cannot be created or destroyed. You just keep being. You know. And
that's exactly.
But we're constantly bombarded with radiation from the sun, you know, and we're really close to the sun. No matter what you think, 93 million miles is not that far. You know, it's not that far. We are being baked with radiation, and they're trying to block it with the chemtrails and everything, because, like, on this planet, the sun controls so many different aspects of our lives that we don't even fully understand how powerful that thing in the sky is. You know, we just think it's there to keep you warm or to make the day bright for you to see. But that thing is giving you a whole lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff you get from it. And that's why, you know, you have to appreciate who you are and what you're in, the form and whatever body you're in, because, like, it's all important. It's all important.
I hear you. So how do you feel about the aggressive beings on this planet that is on the domineering, and they're taking over? What do you think about them? Like how I heard you go into it a little bit. Can you just expound on our children?
Yeah.
Well, our great children.
Well, the thing is, you know, so sometimes it's hard to explain certain things to you know, if you can't unlock yourself to conceive of things in a much grander sense. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is you have to be far thinking, like really, really far thinking, like think back before you were even in flesh. You know, think back beyond your mother and your father. How can you do that? And think from and get to as far as you can get to, and then think from there to where you are right now.
That's them scary journeys. That's
You
why.
see what I'm saying?
That's
So
the only time traveling too. You see how you
look. So think how you think yourself all the way to here. That's all you're doing. You're thinking yourself ahead. You understand? You're thinking yourself ahead. And so like you've already figured out all the different things that's going to happen and not going to happen. And when I say you, I'm not talking about you individually, because you are just a thought. So if you're a thought in a mind. So mind is figuring you out. You know, a friend of mine just I was talking to, and he said all we do all day is just figuring out. That's all we do. We're figuring out everything we're figuring out. And so when somebody says don't judge me, it's silly. It doesn't even make any sense. It's nonsensical, because all you do all day is judge things. You judge how things look, you judge how things taste, you judge how things smell, you judge how things feel, and you judge how things sound. That's all you do all day is judge. So the thing is, by nature you are judgmental, you know. And so, you know, we just got to understand that that's what our senses are there for. They're there to collect information. They're there to collect information. You know what I mean? Oh, you touch this, it's too hot. Don't touch it. You know, that means hot. You know, that looks scary. That sounds horrible. That smells bad. You know, that's what your senses are there to collect information. You understand what I'm saying? And we all working together as a collective. But you got to be far thinking to see how far along. It's like right now we're trapped in a paradigm where we're fighting constantly over the past, the things that happened in the past. And sometimes that's just where we start out. You know, a lot of us, we get into this consciousness, and we start learning about our history. We learn about, and when we say history, a lot of times it's a disservice to call it history, because what all you learn about is the atrocities, some of the atrocities, the traumas, the things that make you angry. And so when you learn these things, you get stuck in this slavery talk about what happened in slavery. And so, you know, you traumatize yourself and everybody with the images that you constantly push forward. But slavery, right? And what we have to understand with slavery didn't just happen here in America. You know, slavery happened in even worse with the Arabs. You know, if we're really going to be mad about slavery, let's be really, you know, mad about it on all levels. Mad when we did it to each other and so on and so forth. But my point is this: that's the past, not to be forgotten, not to be belittled, not to be dishonored, right? Yeah, not to be forgiven either. Because I don't believe in you know, forgive. I'm not with all that. That, you know, something I'm gonna give you something on that. I don't really buy that. But what it is
forget, bro. Like, yeah, that's mad. Like, you can't. If I read a book, I can't say I'm gonna forget the book. Like, that's impossible. So impossible. You can't forgive and forget. That's some rubbish. Forgiving.
The reason why it doesn't work is because nature, anything you do in nature, you know what I mean, once it's done, it's done. You understand what I'm saying? And people gotta just get past some of the limitations they put on themselves, because we're stuck too much fighting over what happened 400 years ago. What we need to be fighting for is the next 400 years ahead. If we don't start fighting for the next 400 years, and I'm not talking about the next 4 years of your life, I'm not talking about the next 4 months or the next 4 weeks, I'm talking about the next 400 years. That's what you got to be living for. Everybody has to start living for the next 400 or 4,000 years. You understand what I'm saying? You have to think that far. You have to be, if you get that mindset right now, you stop wasting time. Because, you know, like, look, if I'm going to rep so hard that my family's going to be all right for the next 400 or 1,000 years, I got to do a lot of work. I can't scratch my head and walk around in circles. You know what I'm saying? I got to get busy. And so until we start doing that, because that's what everybody else is doing. That's what everybody else is doing. We have to first identify the goal, and then we'll come up with the strategies to accomplish it. Because one thing with us as a people that I want us to understand is that we are more powerful than we even imagine. We haven't even tapped, like, there's nothing like the stuff that they're stuck on. Where they're stuck, we're gonna excel, because our minds don't work the way their mind work. You see, they've created what they're creating here is an artificial reality, right? Where everything is no longer real. They're trying to digitize everything. Even matter they're trying to digitize now. But there's so many things you could point to at how artificial this world has become. You know what I'm saying? The food is not real food. You know, women who you see are beautiful with nice, beautiful bodies. You can't trust if those bodies are real or that those faces are real. You see what I'm saying? Everything is becoming plastic and nothing is real anymore. You know, you have now, instead of connecting with each other, we're stuck on our cell phones, on the internet. We're not connecting anymore. The internet has now replaced our brain. So anytime you want to think of something, you instead of think about it, you say Google it. You see what I'm saying? You're creating an artificial reality, and the artificial reality wants to prove that it's more real than the real. And that's where the conflict is. That's where it's toppling on its head. Because here's an illusion who knows it's an illusion, right? Trying to convince something real that it's more real than it. You understand? So we have, nature has to put us through all these different channels, you know, to execute the outcome that nature is laying out. Because now everybody's going towards being more healthy, trying to be more organic and do all these different things, because we fell in love with the artificial stuff. We started consuming all this Burger King and this McDonald's and all this processed stuff. And, you know, we boasted, you know, with our Coca-Colas going down our throats and our Pepsis. And we felt like, you know, like we're doing something. We fell in love with all the things that would kill us, just so that we could fall in love with all the things that will save us. You see?
Exactly. That's how you said it's a circle. It's a circle. And it's all about the learning and experience. And that's what life is. And well, you're just preaching to the choir to me, but yo, hey, I love it. I love it. I love it. That's what I'm saying. I appreciate you for just dropping all of this knowledge. I want to ask you to read a little bit of your book. So
okay,
now, before we go into the next question, let's just calm it down and get it into something, another vibe, you know, like that.
Let's see. I'll do this one. I haven't read this book in a long time. This book was done in 2000 or 19, I think 1999 or 2000. Let me see when it 2001 came out. 2001, and some of these poems, you know, are very powerful pieces that, you know, they still resonate with the truths of yesterday, even right now. You know, I have a poem that I wrote. I want to say more than 10 years or 15 years, called "I'm Going to Die Because I'm a Black Man." And when you listen to that poem, even though it was written so long, it feels so you know, present. Like it was just unhatched, you know. But that's because the cycle repeats until, like, you know what I mean, we learn what we need to learn out of it. So, you know, we can navigate past it, and it becomes like something we don't even think about. But we still have things to learn. So this is called the questions in the mirror. And I'll just do a little bit of it. I won't do the whole thing. The thought, the mind, the man, the meaning. I stand here screaming at myself in the mirror, questioning my reflection as it changes definitions, changes answers, changes gender. One moment a man, a woman, and now a question. Why is abbreviation such a long word? What's another word for synonym? We talked in silence, shouting. Excellent speech becomes not a fool, so keep your cool and shut your mouth, for better to be silent and thought a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. So I was slow to speak and quick to hear, listening to fear, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, saying, he who laughs last thinks slowest. And that's when I noticed that my nose ran and my feet smelled, contradicting the purpose of themselves. I was lost in a paradox of perplexities, wondering who stopped the payment on my reality check. Who's asking the questions? Who is who? What is what? Where is where? How is how? And why is why? I don't know, the image in the mirror replied, but time is the best teacher. Unfortunately, it kills all of its students. Yet some people are only alive because it is illegal to kill. So give time a chance, for time is what keeps everything from happening at once. And when I glanced into the mirror, I saw that heaven and hell, the devil and God all had one body, one face, and one mind just like mine, for they were my reflection. So I asked them a question. Why is it so hot down here? And the devil said, where? I said, here in hell, where fiery words create heated conversations that result in firearms being drawn due to the burning design, hot heads the fire first and talk later. Then God, the creator, said, good heavens, man. It doesn't matter what temperature a room is. It's always room temperature.
Hey, thank you, brother. That was powerful. There was so much little jewels in that too. It makes me all change up, but let me get back onto the focus. My next question to you: what is the difference between an educated being and an intelligent being?
An educated being and an intelligent being? That's a good question. I think you know, the word education is something that it really doesn't people use it, but it doesn't mean what it doesn't mean what they say it means. You know what I mean? The way they use it, you know, like there's a lot of educated people, but they're doing more harm than they're doing good. The word education, I believe the Latin root of it is educere, which means to lead out, right? And you can't lead out something that's not already in you. You understand what I'm saying? You could only lead out what's already there. So when you're educated, you're really just remembering what you already know. And that's why I say to teach is to remind and to learn is to remember, you know, because you already know all of this stuff. I just showed you how much people you have inside you. Imagine how much stuff they've all the knowledge they have. You know more than you think you know. You understand what I'm saying? Because all of that is a composite, is a compilation, is an accumulation of knowledge of millions and millions of years. And that's what you are. So when somebody teaches you something or reminds you and you say, oh, I get it, and you understand it, you remember it. You understand? Because it's already, you already know it, you know? So it's intelligence is I think intelligence is just basically, you know, being. That's what intelligence is. You know, being what you know, being what you think, being, you know, just being. You know what I'm saying? Being what you believe. That's intelligence.
The new awakening is going to be new thought. There's going to be new thought patterns. Some people ain't going to survive because they ain't even ready for that thought. But anyway, brother, I see you're back. So continue, my brother.
Yeah, I was just listening to you, man. You was right and exact with a lot of things that you were just saying. You know, it really just comes down to understanding that, and this is why sometimes it becomes difficult to understand God, or what men call God, and it becomes like this simple thing where, you know, it's simple, but it's misunderstood so easily. You know what I'm saying? Because like if you're not thinking, okay, if you're not thinking, you'll miss the significance of, like, you know, the thing that identifies itself in you as God. And because you miss the thing that identifies itself in you as God, you start looking for it outside of yourself in things that are not God. That can't be God. You know what I mean? Things that have limitations to it, things that are separate from everything else. You know, that's not God. That can never be God. Or not even, we don't even use can or can't. That will never be God. That thing that that anthropomorphic being that you know, they imagine sitting on some chair and looking back down and waiting for judgment and all of this stuff, and you call it father and him and she and her and whatever, you know, whatever pronouns or adjectives that are used. It's too limited. It's like trying to see yourself, you know. It's like trying to go back to what you're from, the source of yourself. So when you say you're not your body, I understand it, because like your body is not the source of you. You know, your body is the manifestation of you. So the manifestation can say it is you. You understand what I'm saying? So to go back to the source of yourself, You know, you have to, but even if you take your body, you start just reversing your timeline and seeing you going from this full grown adult, which is not you, back to your teenage years, which was not you, back to, you know, the baby on the breast, which was not you, back to the baby in the womb, which was not you, back to the egg and the sperm, which was not you. Where do you end up back at? You end up at something that you can't, that you will not see. So to see yourself, you're already everywhere. They say the universe is 96% dark matter, right? And only 4% visible light. So 96% of what you call in the universe, right? You can't see. And because we've got so lost in like in our understanding of things, we don't think beyond certain things anymore. We say we are born into the universe. If you're born into the universe, you can't be from the universe because you're coming into it. So, and then the universe, they say, where's the universe? Everybody say the universe is in space. Well, space is just a place. That's all space is. So if space is a place and there are many, many other places, you know what I mean? Where are the other places? So this is why I'm saying, like, how God becomes difficult to understand, because we can't think beyond certain things. Some of us can't think beyond, like, you know, two labels. You throw a label out there and then people just get stuck. So how you gonna tell me that you have the mind to understand God when you get stuck on labels and you get stuck on things that, you know what I mean, if you're really trying to get back to the source of yourself, and that's not necessarily what all of us are trying to do, because if we're trying to get back to the source of ourselves, we wouldn't have left ourselves at the beginning. Our self is expressing all of ourselves. That's what our self is doing. Our self is expressing all of ourselves. So you're going to have negative selves and you're going to have positive selves. You're going to have selves that are born to do evil, and you're going to have selves that are born to do good. You're going to have selves as trees. You're going to have selves as mountains. You're going to have selves as fishes. You're going to have selves as chickens, as cows, as water, as air, as sun, as moon, as star. You're going to have selves as all these things. It is that is God. That is God. That is God.
Hey, as I said, my brother. I just need to learn how to speak like you. I need to learn this. I need to get that part of myself back. The communication to the whole masses in that way where they understand exactly my thoughts. I haven't really challenged that. I haven't challenged to be a poet or any of those things. I haven't challenged myself as yet to do that, because I've done so much other things. You know how life is. It always is crazy. So,
brother, you're already a poet. You are the poet looking at yourself, speaking to yourself. You see, that's what I said. Intelligence is being. Like, you have to, as a being, you have to just be.
Yeah, that's what I said. Challenge. That's why I said challenge, because so I know it's there.
You are already being. I'm already being. I'm looking at myself, looking at myself.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? So, you know,
I say there like, you go. My brother says that he made that up. My brother, man, he says, I am you. And that's the concept. That's it. I am you. But people don't even understand that. Like, as you said, when people hear something and they judge it, in that way, it is wrong, because it excludes them from the whole totality of everything.
No, well, your nature is to judge things, you know. That's your nature.
No, it's true. It's true. No. To understand and all of that, you have to do that. So I definitely understand where you're going.
In your nature, anything that comes to you, you know, it's like your thoughts are taught to think. That's all they're taught to do. There's nothing else. They're taught to think. So nature is already hardwired us to be certain ways. It's when we try to fight against those things that we become a part of the artificial reality that's trying to, you know, prove that it's more real than the reality. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you see so much things happening. That's why people are dying from cancer and all these different things. You know, it's because, you know, we've bought into separating ourselves from everything, and you can't do that. You can't. Everything. Imagine how vast everything is. Imagine everything.
Yeah, the all. I call it the all.
Yeah, the all. you know, the everything, you know, the mind. You can't separate yourself from it. You can't use it against itself. You understand what I'm saying? You can't, you, no matter what you think, all this GMO stuff that they're doing, it's gonna cause more damage than it's gonna cause good. And guess what? Guess who's gonna outlast it? Guess, not even who, because I don't want to personificate it, but nature is gonna outlast it. You see what I'm saying? Nature has outlasted every civilization that has risen and fallen. You know, and it's not just outlasting; it's orchestrating their rise and their fall. Because people think that they're outside of, like, you know, the great mind, but you're not. You know, the sun that we have, it regulates fertility on this planet. There's moments where, you know, people will be more prone to having children, and there's moments when, you know, the sun will turn that off. And I believe that's what's happening with the Caucasians right now, because their population is on a decline. They're more of them are dying than they're being born, and that's why they are doing so much in vitro fertilization and all this artificial stuff to simulate or stimulate the process that no longer that naturally no longer happens, right? Because the sun is affecting them, and maybe that explains some of the chemtrailing that you see all over the world to block the sun. But it, you know, you can't stop nature. You understand what I'm saying? Nature has an answer to every contingency you could come up with. It's that far thinking. It's just not thinking about you. It's been thinking about you before you were even, like, you know what I mean, 100,000 years, you know, conscious of yourself in any form. And it thought about you from then all the way to now. And it's already thought, like, for the next 100 million years. Everything is already factored out. But so what we become really is, like, we become weathermen of sorts. You know, we're trying to read the patterns and figure out what's coming up next. And that's why the questions always poke their heads up about what's going on. You know, what age are we in? All these different thoughts that we kind of dabble with. Because we can feel it. We can feel that there's a shift going on. Something is changing. The change that we seek may not be the change that we expect. You know, so and that sometimes is what throws people up, because people sometimes have you know, imaginations as vast as the universe, and because we have imaginations as vast as the universe, we can easily go off into, like, some weird directions and can't find our way back from them, you know. And so the change that we seek sometimes is not the change we expect when the change does come. So a lot of times people, because they're expecting something, they don't see that the change is happening or is happening. They're still fighting for something that's happening. You see what I'm saying? They are something that has happened, you know. So it's like you're stuck in a paradox, you know. And right now we just got to get back in tune with nature.
Sorry for jumping. Like, you're trying to think faster than nature. You can't do that. Like, it's already been.
Yeah, we just what we gotta do is we gotta get back in tune, brother. We all gotta get back in tune, and, you know, there's different schools of thought on how to do that. Some people say you gotta eat a certain way. Some people say you gotta sacrifice certain things, or, you know, whatever. Everybody has their ideas, and I think ultimately nature has its own ideas. You know what I'm saying? You know, and whatever we need to go through or need to do to get back in tune, that will happen, because in the end, you know, our sacrifice is to give ourselves. You know, and everything about ourselves must be given back. Life is giving you everything, and life expects you to give it everything. And so if you're not giving life your all, then, you know what I mean, you're shortchanging life, and in the end, it's still going to collect all from you. It's still going to collect all from you. So, you know, you might as well give it your all, you know, with all the effort that you have, because that's what it's all about.
Exactly. That's powerful. And that's powerful. That's real. As I said, what I'm going to ask you next is about the space and gravity? Because I heard you explain about the sun and other orbs, maybe the moon and all of these things. So what is the sorry, let me
Go ahead, I'm listening to you, brother.
uh no, hold on. What I'm saying is basically space and all the other orbs in the sky. How do they play a role and all of these sort of things? Sorry, my brother, though.
Okay. How does space and the planets and everything play a role? You know, I think when I think about space, I think about like thinking about what it's like inside of our own bodies. You know what I'm saying? All these cells and these different, strings of arteries and veins and organs and, you know, and inside the brain and the heart and, you know, just the whole thing. You know, so I think like I think about it in that sense that there are things always moving inside of your body, things always happening. You know, it's like a whole universe inside of there. And so like a lot of stuff that we're trying to look for outside of ourselves, all we have to do is look for it inside of ourselves. You know what I mean? Because we're here. We have to deal with you know, where we're at. And the more we study ourselves, the more we're gonna know about everything. Because the beautiful thing about us is that we are a version of everything. Everything. That's why in here sometimes people say, "Oh, you have a certain amount of primates in us. We you know we share a certain amount of DNA with primates, a certain amount with dogs, a certain amount with this." It's because yeah, we're made up of everything. We're made up of gold, silver, zinc, iron, copper, all the different elements, water, fire, electricity, all you know, everything is right here. You know, the universe is right here. And you know it will take as we get deeper into the studies of over time, we're gonna realize that a lot of stuff that we thought were impossible were really easy, really simple to fix. You know, really easy. So you know, it's just that we don't know ourselves, and that's why the ancestors told you know yourself. And how you know yourself, you have to get more knowledge. The more knowledge you get, the more you know yourself. You have to get more knowledge to know yourself. You see what I'm saying? So every time you know something, whether it's a scientific concept or principle or a spiritual concept or principle, you understand what I'm saying? That's knowledge about yourself. You understand? Excuse me, that's knowledge about yourself. So when you know, you don't have to put them against each other. You have to find, you know, understand that sometimes, you know, we're speaking the same thing, but we're using different languages. And so it sounds like it doesn't say the same, but it does say the same thing. You know, a lot of it is the same thing. So when I think about the macrocosm, I think about the microcosm first, because you know, a lot of things that we're not doing right now, a lot of things that we can do and will do. The reason why we're not doing them right now is because we don't know that we can do them yet. So 1,000 years from now, when we finally get the knowledge of what we can do, we're gonna we could do it right now. Everything that we're doing in 2016, we could have been doing 2,000, 4,000 years ago. But we just didn't know that we could do them yet. And so when you fast forward yourself 2,000, 4,000 years and realize what you can do to yourself 4,000 years from now, yourself of 2016 will look at yourself 4,000 years from now like a god. You understand what I'm saying? When you are making the dead come back to life, when you are making the paralyzed walk again, when you're making the blind see, when these things are simple tricks. And that's why, like I tell people a lot of times, the stuff in the Bible is allegory. You understand? It may have really happened, and maybe the retelling of a story, but there's still a lot of allegory there. And if you understand the allegory, because like life gives us all like, you know, something that only we have. You know, no matter how many people they could pull that look like you, there's nobody that is you. You're the only you. No matter how many people, you know, I mean, you know, have fingerprints, there's only you have your fingerprint. You see what I'm saying? So life gives us, like, gives us all these things to make us know that we're unique, but at the same time we're all the same.
Moving on to my next question, which is about ego, because I heard you say you are yourself in that flesh, well, like that. I understand the concept. So I'm saying, how important and how beautiful is the ego? Because a lot of people might slate the ego, but we are that ego. What I mean by that is, this form here is that ego, and that's why I think I'm me, and I will judge everything else. I hope I break it down well enough for you to expound upon it, brother.
Well, you are yourself, but I don't know if I would equate the self with the ego, as far as how people explain the ego. The self is not just my body, what I look like. You know what I mean? It's not just your body, what you look like. It's not the whole planet and all, it's everything. That's what the self is. The self is everything. So imagine, like I was saying earlier, previously, about the microcosm and the macrocosm, and how the looking at the universe and seeing it inside of yourself. Imagine now, right? And this is what we have to do, because we have to imagine, because that's what we're imagining, everything. You know what I mean? We're imagining, life is imagination. It truly is. And if you really sit down and think about it, you realize that there has to be imagination, because, like, how do you explain, some of the simple things? No matter if you could put it in scientific terms, it's still unexplainable. You are unexplainable. When you think about who you really are, one person with billions of people all tied in your blood, wrapped up in your DNA, condensed and concentrated, with consciousness. So the self is everything. And how that is you and me, we're like cells in the self. So in your body, you're made up of trillions and trillions of cells, right? And these cells, they are all doing different functions. Somewhere in the foot, somewhere in the hand, somewhere in the heart, somewhere in the brain, and other places all over the body. But they're all working together in concert, as the self expressing itself. It's all working together as the self expressing itself. So that's why that word, you just look at it, self. Self. What is a self? You say myself, myself. That means it's not you. You understand what I'm saying? It's not you. It's bigger than you. You are a part of it. It's yourself. It's not you. And so that's how I think of the self and everything. And that being said, you just got to look at everything in holistic and understand that everything is for its own reason. And even our arguments and our disagreements and the things we don't understand is all a part of it. You know what I mean? We live and we live, and when the flesh no longer is capable or is broken, we move on. And then when once we reach that point, everything that we did before that is locked in. There is no coulda, woulda, shoulda. You know what I'm saying? It's locked in. And sometimes people, depending on how they view what life is or what they want from life, they can look at the point that it ended for them, or people can look at the point where it ended for them and say, well, at least they had fun. At least they did this or they did that. At least they didn't, they didn't just work their whole life for somebody and didn't do anything, didn't get to see anywhere. You know what I mean? So it makes us really, it brings us all sometimes into the mirror of our consciousness to realize that, we're, while you're here, there's things that if there are things that you want to do or you feel you should do them. You know what I'm saying? Because the expression of yourself does not come with any guarantee that you're gonna even be here, beyond the next moment. As an expression. You see what I'm saying?
So what is the ego? Because that's what I was basic. I should have asked that. first before I went into my other.
The ego is that part of man that, you know, that makes him want to be more, you know, makes him want to be great. But it can also easily, you know, fool him into believing that he's more than what he wants to be. You know, because you basically are what you are, you know, and mostly what you think. You know. And so the ego sometimes thinks it's greater than itself. So it will stand in the mirror and it won't see itself. You know, even though it's looking dead square, it will talk down to itself and say that and feel like it's just made itself larger. You know, that's what the ego does. So, you know, when we talk about the self again, and understanding that I am you, like you said earlier. When you understand that, if I talk down to you, I'm talking down to myself. If you talk down to me, you're talking down to yourself. That's the consciousness that we have to get back to. You see what I'm saying? We have to get back to that consciousness. And there's, you know, what we need to be taught really is what we know, you know, what we already know. You know, people just need to learn what they already know, because a lot of us know a lot of things already. A lot of us know how to be on time, how to work hard, how to be efficient, you know, how to be you know, charming. You know, if you teach them what they know, and then let them build from there. But when you want to put down yourself to push up yourself, you're stuck. And that's where the ego sometimes it loses sense of itself. You know what I'm saying? It loses sense of itself. Look at the little angel. What's up, princess? How you doing? That's your little girl.
Yeah, brother.
Oh wow, man, that's beautiful, man.
What I was gonna ask you is about flat Earth and all of that. How do you feel about that conversation? Because
the whole flat Earth and that discussion, I can't speak to that, brother. Those conversations, those discussions are for people who have time to waste. Because what does it matter if the Earth is flat or round? You know, what does it matter if you think somebody lied to you? If you think they lied to you and you think you know the truth, just know the truth that you know. If you think it's flat, then live on it as flat. If you think it's round, then you live in it as round. You know, what's the shape of the universe? You see, we think too small sometimes, and we get stuck on minutia that doesn't matter. You know?
yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. That's real. My next question is you have to. Yeah. My next question is basically, what is freedom? Because we hear that a lot in the community too. So, what is freedom? What would be freedom to you?
What is freedom? Freedom in this paradigm is just a concept. You know, freedom is just a concept, and a lot of people don't understand that real freedom is in your mind. Real freedom is in your mind. I mean, like once you embrace freedom as an idea, as a thought in your mind, you can't, you can't necessarily just like bind yourself to anything that wants to restrict you. And so we're fighting to be mentally free, because you don't see people necessarily walking around in shackles anymore. There was a physical restriction on people, but physical restriction doesn't take away your freedom. You understand what I'm saying? Hello?
Yeah, I understand, brother. I understand.
Yeah, physical restriction doesn't take away your freedom, because you still free in your mind. You can, you know what I mean? You still free in your mind. So when they take away the freedom in your mind, they could take away the physical restriction, and you'll do the things that that the physical restrictions were meant to do. So freedom is in your mind. and you have to embrace this knowledge of yourself, that I mean, you don't give away the most important thing that you are, which is your ability to think. You understand what I'm saying? Do not give that away. Do not surrender that for anything. You are a mind, not a man.
Exactly.
You
That's
are a mind, not a man. And the powerful people or the powerful minds on this planet are displayed. They're not out just trying to collect money. They're trying to collect minds. It's your mindset that makes you what you
money.
are. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So your mindset, if they could grab your mind and control your thinking and make you think, what they want, and have you arguing over things that don't matter. True freedom is in the mind. We must free our minds, from the control of the mind controllers. And we must understand what their controls are and what their designs are, so we don't fall within charge of their controls. You have to know these things. You have to know these things. That's why it's important for us not to necessarily, you know, um, prime ourselves with some of the things that we prime ourselves willfully with. Some of these shows that we're watching and some of these things that we're listening to, it's priming you. It's priming you to hate yourself. It's priming you to make you feel that you're not good enough, and that you feel like you're doing things that you choose to do, but really you're doing things that are chosen for you to do.
Exactly.
You go into the supermarket to buy soap, and you pick up one brand versus another, and you think because this is your choice. No, that choice was placed there for you. And
Exactly.
so true freedom is really in the mind, brother. There's a lot of brothers who are in prison who are more free than the people that are out here walking around. They're getting a lot more done too, because a lot of people don't know how to use their minds. you know they don't know how to use their minds, and so those who know how to manipulate the mind, manipulate them into thinking against themselves. And that's where we get the whole notion of sellouts and all these different things from. Some of us are already at certain levels that it didn't happen overnight for us to get where we're at. And some people that we're interacting with, and that's why consciousness has to be conscious. Consciousness can't just be a label that you throw on people who don't act like they're conscious. Because if you're awake and I'm asleep, and you're dealing with me like you're asleep too, you're not conscious. You know what I'm saying? Consciousness is an awareness. So we have to understand that everything is in transition. Everything is changing all the time, and a lot of it's like a master game of chess where every move matters. You know what I'm saying? Every move is like watching these guys reading the Wall Street Journal and trying to predict the market. Try to predict life.
Mm.
Try to predict what's going to happen, like in each man, in each mind. you know the ideas that were planted in you from you were a little boy, that's now hatching into blooming trees. You know what I mean? Whether they were to make you hate yourself or feel good about yourself or inspire you, whether they were to build you up or to break you down. All these things are happening. All the different things that you experience, all the people that you meet, all of the people that smile at you when you needed a smile or frown at you when you didn't deserve a frown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the good things that you did that make you proud, and all the bad things you did that make you ashamed. All the things that make you can't sleep, can't eat, can't think, sometimes make you cry. All those things are happening all the time, and pushing on different places of you, trying to pull you out, trying to expose you, trying to show you to yourself. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's all about. And so, like I say, it's really in our thinking, man. It all comes down to how we think, and it's not necessarily um just the physical restrictions, because we live in a mental world, and a mental world has physical components too. Because sometimes when you say things, people just always look for the opposites. If you say life, they say death. And I'm like, there's no opposite for life. There's no opposites for life. Everything doesn't have an opposite. You know what I'm saying? Life cannot die, and death has never lived. So there's no opposite for everything, but that's what people tend to do. They're looking for, if I say up, they look for down. If I say left, they look for right. You know?
Yes, thank you. You might as well just do an outro and all of that. As I said, there's nothing more you can say because you said everything that you needed to say anyway. I like to just give the question so anyone that's listening, they could follow, you know, like that. But because I'm about guidance, I don't want to teach, as I say to people. So I'm about guidance. I'm not a teacher. I don't teach. So exactly what you're saying is exactly what I'm saying, just poetically. So, brother, continue.
Yeah, well, we all learn, we all remember every day. And certainly you teach as well, my brother. You know, this is your classroom right here. And you are the teacher in the classroom, you know. You may not be the voice, but you are the one bringing the voice. You may not be the words, but it's because of you the words are being heard. So, you know, you're a teacher in your own right, and you know, very grateful for brothers like you. Um, I really enjoyed, like, you know, sitting down and just talking. I don't do interviews a lot, you know. I really do a lot more. Most of the time, I'm the one doing the interviews with people, so I don't really give interviews that much. But and I didn't know what this interview is going to be about exactly. But you know, it's always good to just, you know, build with the brothers and everyone, and just share like thoughts and learn from each other. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know everything, certainly, and you know, I'm trying to learn everything though, you know, because that's my nature. That's the nature of us. We should strive to learn everything. Don't limit yourself. Don't put any limitations on yourself. Don't put any cans before your you know, your aspirations. No cans at all. It's just wills and will nots. So either you will do it or you will not do it, but it's your will, and that's what we have to anchor in our spirits and in our consciousness, because, you know, the universe, and everything in it, that's how everything moves. Everything is an expansion. It's getting larger, but we're larger in what? Larger as what? And it's the same thing with us. You know what I mean? We're constantly learning new things about ourselves, because that's what we're doing. We're experiencing ourselves through all of ourselves. And so I give thanks again, and I want to just give a quick shout out to all the people that subscribe to my channel as well, which is Mind TV. You know, I have a YouTube channel. I actually have a couple YouTube channels, but I just promote these two. I have my personal channel, which is youtube.com/TEHUT-9TV. Spelled pretty much like the way you have the name on the screen, the TEHUT and the number 9 and then TV. And then I have Mind TV, which is M9NDtv network. So youtube.com/Mind TV network, but you spell mind with a number, with the numeral 9 instead of the letter I. And you catch me. You catch me on Facebook as well at TEHUT-9, facebook.com/TEHUT-9, THUT, the numeral 9. And you know, from there, you know, we can build, we can share, we can communicate. I think that's pretty much it. My website is sunrason.com. That's sunrason.com, where you can get all my products. I have, like I said, 2 books, books that I've written, but I've also published books with for some of the brothers and sisters in the literate community. My good friend Heru Patar has his new book out, Show Me a Beautiful Woman, which is a novel, and that's doing pretty good. So that's also available there, and all my films are there. And brother, I'm just constantly working, man, constantly trying to, you know, to know more about myself, and to grow and to become better. And you know, and I hope to that you know, whatever I do is an inspiration to people, you know, of all walks of life. And so I really want to encourage the brothers and sisters out there who are coming into knowledge and information to, you know, keep on, you know, keeping on. You know, it might get frustrating at times. You know, people will rub you the wrong way at times, but you know, it's not about them. You know, it's about you. So, you know, just be humble, be persistent, be consistent with yourself, and just strive to be the best self that you can be. And that's it, brother. Just be.
All I can say is thank you. Thank you, brother. It's powerful, 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 powerful. Everyone that listens to this, it's another exclusive banger from Virtue TV. And I hope everyone just enjoys it. Fully follow the brother. Go and check it out. I'm going to put all of his details in the subscription anyway, and all of what he said. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Virtue TV, guidance. We're out.